to judge them. However, Mr. Speaker, it is not lost to my mind that in the last parliament, Mr. Speaker, this House declined to assent to the renewal of the terms of service and the terms of training of the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, the BATUK. Mr. Speaker, when we refused to sign up and regularize BATUK's presence in Kenya, we took a hitting as a House, Mr. Speaker. But in this 13th Parliament, the Parliament has been able to pass that British Army Training Unit in Kenya can practice and train on our mother soil, Mr. Speaker. However, that was not without a rider. This House put a rider, and the rider was serious, Mr. Speaker. The rider was saying that there is no way that a British officer can end up committing a crime in Kenya and not tried in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the British Army Training Unit is known to have killed our people. They are known to have raped our women. They are known to have maimed our people. Mr. Speaker, they are also known for serious environmental degradation. And we understand, Mr. Speaker, even in media, that the BBC is funded by taxpayers' money in Britain, meaning that BBC is funded to push the foreign agenda of the British people internationally, Mr. Speaker. And so we must know, is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing? Could it be an attempt to untwist this country so that they can rescind on the rider that we put on their training of the BATUK units in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and perpetuate a history of extractive economy, oppressive economy, and exploitative economy in a very unfair trade balance between Kenya and the UK. Mr. Speaker, even as we debate this matter, it is not lost to us that yes, there were unfavorable events that took place in the time and the lead up to the finance bill. But Mr. Speaker, that is not what we are debating. We would like to know for a fact whether what BBC is hearing is connected to the riders that this House put on the training of the British Army Training Units in Kenya, where we were requiring that any officer of the British Army, if they are found here in Kenya to have killed, to have maimed, to have raped, they should be tried here in the mother soil, as it would happen even for a Kenyan if they were found on, guilty of a criminal offense in the UK. So that, Mr. Speaker, the issues are clear for Kenyans, because we know there are many issues that have happened in the UK, very many issues that have happened elsewhere, but they did not get the media presence that we are seeing being put on this issue of the Kenyan Defense Forces. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, that I do not speak this in defense of the Kenya Defense Forces. I speak this to frame the issues, so that even as we are talking about this issue, we know that there could be an interest that is an ulterior interest being pushed with these media reports, because I know as a media practitioner, there is never a news item that appears on a prominent media station that is an orphan. Any media item that comes up on a media station has its own father and it has its own mothers. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and let us look at the agreement that we put down for the British Army to be able to train in Kenya and on Kenyan soil, and the exploitation of our environment, the depletion of our environment, and the cases that we know of human rights abuses that are conducted by the British Army on Kenyan soils. The killing, the maiming, and the raping will not go unnoticed, and we will not keep quiet about this issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
On the same, Millie? Yes, Millie?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank Honorable KJ for urging that we speak soberly about this issue. And Mr. Speaker, I wish to speak soberly about this issue. And sometimes when you're in leadership, you have to take the road less traveled. And on this issue, I want to take the path less traveled. Mr. Speaker, we lost many young people. And we have very many young people who are traumatized as a consequence of what happened. Mr. Speaker, it is a point in our country that all of us wish never happened. But it happened. Mr. Speaker, I think we have not handled this issue well. And that is why sometimes you find people from outside are coming to document this. If, as Kenya, we were able to acknowledge that things went wrong and we need to fix it, then, Mr. Speaker, even if BBC aired it, it doesn't matter. We have to fix our own problems on our own. We don't have to wait for BBC to tell us there was something wrong. I have a problem with the title that they've given, but which is typical of any media house because they want it to trend and then want it to, yeah. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, they may have given it that title. But, Mr. Speaker, we have not yet dealt with some of the issues. We have dealt with some, but one of the issues we have not dealt with is the trauma. Mr. Speaker, I said it when Honorable Elachi lost the son. Mr. Speaker, we have a very angry young generation in this country. And part of the anger is on the issues that we are seeing, Mr. Speaker. And we cannot bury our heads in the sand, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let Parliament take the lead. And let us find a way of helping these young people to heal. Because, Mr. Speaker, we don't know what may come in the next few months, next year, or whatever. And furthered by the fact that we have very many young people who are jobless, who are frustrated. And if these people, I don't know what their intention is. Their intention could be fuel more harm and whatever. I don't know what their intention is. But from the young people that have spoken, it has actually created more anger. We are taking them back to the path that they would rather not walk again. But they are walking it. And we don't know at what point somebody else will fuel it again. You can't stop the media. Somebody else will fuel that anger again. And so for us to deal with it, let this Parliament take that mandate to deal. When we had post-election violence, Mr. Speaker, I was lucky to be in this Parliament, I think, where we do in that Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we set up a select committee. We walked all over this country. And because as human beings, we have a nature to forget. When we thought we had moved on, I remember in one case, we met a woman whose husband's head had been decapitated. She went to her home with the husband's head. And we were dealing with people who are angry, people who are depressed. And going there, Mr. Speaker, I remember to date when I was speaking in Parliament, I broke down and cried. Not because of me, but because of what we had. And we think we are moving on, but there are many young people who have not necessarily moved on. Mr. Speaker, personally, I would appeal, and I don't want to sit in that committee, but I would appeal that we set up a select committee to deal with this issue that stemmed not necessarily the finance bill, but the after effect of that finance bill. Mr. Speaker, I humbly agree that we deal with this soberly, and I'd want to discourage us from going through a process which we think may be politically correct, but does not necessarily move us forward as a country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Beatrice, can I ask your request for your statement?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to request for a statement regarding investigations into escalating cases of femicide and gender-based violence in Kericho County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2 Part C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding investigations into escalating cases of femicide and gender-based violence in Kericho County. Honorable Speaker, Article 26 of the Constitution guarantees the inalienable right to life to every person, regardless of age, gender, and social status. Additionally, various statutes, including the Sexual Offences Act, Cap 63A, and the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act, Cap 151, place an obligation on the state to prevent, respond to, and provide mechanisms for reporting and prosecuting acts of gender-based violence and femicide. However, the implementation and enforcement of these laws remain inadequate to address the issues. Between July and September 2024, there were 62 reported cases of gender-based violence and femicide in Kericho County. On 14th April 2025, MS Mercy Chelangat, a 27-year-old mother of two from Kapkwen village in Kipkelion West, was allegedly stabbed by her husband during a family reconciliation meeting, an attack which occurred in the presence of other family members. MS Chelangat is currently recovering at the Kericho County Referral Hospital, along with two other family members.